Things have been kind of touch and go for the upcoming Scream 7 these last several months because it looks like the project was more or less dead on arrival, but now it looks like they got a lifeline tossed to them, and that's Neve Campbell returning to the project as Sidney Prescott. But not only that, they're also bringing back the original screenwriter Kevin Williamson, but this time he's going to be directing the film. In an Instagram post today, Campbell said she's been asked back and is happy to return to the pick, which is now known only as Untitled Scream 7, and will be directed by original screenwriter Kevin Williamson from a script penned by Guy Bashik. And here is that Instagram post from Neve Campbell where it's basically just a copy of the script with her name watermarked onto it, because that's what a lot of studios will do in case a script gets leaked. They know who leaked their copy of it. But this is the post that accompanied that. Hi all, I'm so excited to announce this news. Sidney Prescott is coming back. It's always been such a blast and honor to get to play Sidney in the Scream movies. My appreciation for these films and for what they have meant to me has never waned. I'm very happy and proud to say I've been asked in the most respectful way to bring Sidney back to the screen, and I couldn't be more thrilled. And that's the gist of it. She kind of goes on, but you get the point. She's coming back to Scream 7, and she made it a point to also mention that this was done in a respectful manner to her, because previously she did not appear in the last Scream movie because she had a pay dispute with the studio. They didn't want to give her as much money as she was asking for, so she walked on the project, and that's when they had the focus on Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera's characters, the Carpenter sisters, for the upcoming Scream movie. But since the two actresses were only contracted for Scream 5 and 6, the studio was in negotiations between the two of them, but Jenna Ortega decided to leave the project to focus on Netflix's Wednesday, since that's a project that she cared more about, and she was also the executive producer on that. So since she left the project, the studio was just trying to focus on what they can do with Melissa Barrera. They couldn't figure out what to actually do with her, so they decided to not renew her contract for the 7th movie. They said that she was fired because of statements that she made on social media and stuff like that. It doesn't strike me as her being fired because of those statements, because Jenna Ortega has made similar statements and they never really mentioned anything about her. I think it really is just a matter of they couldn't figure out what to do with her after Jenna Ortega left, so they decided to get rid of her. And at this point, they were kind of going back to the well. It's like, okay, well, let's just bring back Neve Campbell and give her more money. Since we don't have those two actresses to pay, I guess we can pay a little bit more to Neve Campbell, and this is the result that we're getting with this. She's coming back for Scream 7, which a lot of people who are longstanding fans of the franchise, like probably Gen X, older millennials like myself who grew up watching the Scream movies, I much rather prefer to have Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox in the role. I would like it if they kind of just retconned 5 and 6 out of existence so they can bring back David Arquette, but that's apparently not going to be the case. I think that's asking a little bit too much, but it is nice to see Neve Campbell come back in this role. Of course, a lot of younger audiences, the Gen Z types that are fans of Jenna Ortega, have vowed not to watch Scream 7 because they believe Jenna Ortega left the project in solidarity with Melissa Barrera being fired. But if you actually look at the chain of events, that's not really what happened here. This is an article from Variety back in November when a lot of this news was just breaking, where it was announced that Melissa Barrera was fired from the project, that they said it was because of anti-Semitic statements that she made in regards to the Israel-Hamas war. And it says right here in the article, that decision was made after the company was notified that Jenna Ortega, whose star has risen considerably since she joined the beloved Wes Craven horror series, would not return due to scheduling conflict with the second season of her smash Netflix hit Wednesday. And this is something that Scream 7 director at the time, Christopher Landon, did not like. He went on social media and voiced his own complaints, saying, "Everything sucks. Stop yelling. This was not my decision to make." And I really just love his response to this. It's such a human response in this whole situation because everything's just falling apart and you're like, this isn't my fault. Stop blaming me. And I understand why people blame the director for this because they're kind of like the face of the project. But at the same time, it's like, no, the studio is the one pulling the strings, especially on big franchise movies like this. The director is more or less just a hired gun. So it does kind of suck for him that he's getting the blame for this. Eventually, he did leave the project, and that's why we have Kevin Williamson now. But I do empathize with Christopher Landon too, because he was given the script for a Scream 7 movie, a beloved franchise, has Jenna Ortega, a rising star. So you think this is going to be a big movie for me. The people are going to love this. And then all this comes crashing down. It seemed to some fans like the planned sequel was collapsing in real time. However, even before Barrera was fired, plans for the next Scream were being retooled. Ortega's exit had required the creative team to make some alterations according to individuals with knowledge. And that's why I maintain that Ortega left the project before they decided to fire Melissa Barrera. But because they couldn't figure out what to do with her, then they decided just to scrap everything and just almost start fresh with Neve Campbell on board as Sidney Prescott. But there were still hopes that the actress, that's Jenna Ortega, might be convinced to come back for some sort of cameo. That no longer seemed to be in the cards. Another source familiar with the franchise disputed this, saying Ortega was never in the mix for the new film. It looks like there is some dispute about whether Jenna Ortega would return in a cameo. I personally doubt it for two major reasons. One, she previously said that she demanded a huge amount of money for her to return for Scream 7, knowing that they wouldn't actually pay that amount because she just wanted to leave the project. So she would just throw out a number and expecting that they would turn it down so then she can walk and then focus on Wednesday. And also, if she was willing to do that but still come back in as a cameo, well, then the studio could have maintained the whole Carpenter sister angle that they were setting up with Scream 5 and 7. Because that was really the whole point of those movies, is to try to pass off the torch from the older cast to the younger cast and to try to appeal more to a younger audience and continue on with the franchise from there. And as far as the changing of the guard we've seen in movie franchises in recent years, this is probably the better approach since it was respectful to the legacy cast, minus Dewey being taken out by a 80-pound girl, but whatever, that's a whole other issue. But still, for the most part, I thought it was okay, even if I personally didn't like the movies as much, because I'm an older person, so I like the older and more original movies better than the new ones, but that's just my personal take on this. But since Jenna Ortega left, it obviously threw a wrench into that plan, so they're forced to kind of go back to the well and bring back Neve Campbell into the mix. And now that Neve Campbell is back, the question is, what are they going to do with Scream 7? Is this going to be her last Scream movie where they finally kill off Sidney Prescott and then maybe 5-10 years from now they do a fresh reboot of the whole franchise and have a different actress playing Sidney, a different one playing Gail, a different actor playing Dewey? Or I don't know, maybe she's going to continue. They're going to do a Scream 7, 8, 9, 10, just as long as Neve Campbell's willing to do it, they're going to continue on with it. Or maybe they're bringing her back to try to do what they failed to do with Scream 5 and 6 and have her pass off the torch yet again to another young cast and hope that none of them leave the project this time and then they can continue on with this. Either way, I'm more interested in watching this movie now than with the younger cast, because I'm not hating on Scream 5 and 6. I thought those movies were fine. They just weren't for me. This is more of a movie geared towards me. So it's just a question of whether there's enough people like me that this movie is successful or not, or whether it's just a huge bomb at the box office and then they take a break and figure out what they're going to do. Because I think if it does bomb, then maybe they will try to do a fresh reboot from here forward. But I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen because I like the Scream franchise and I want them to be successful. But I'm just not sure whether this one is going to be successful, whether there is an appetite for watching a Scream movie with the original cast. Only Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox are the original cast members now, but I'm just wondering if this is going to be enough to actually bring back an audience. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Are you just going to walk away from the project now that they don't have the young cast, or are you more interested in having an older cast for this movie? And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest in entertainment news. And if you can, click that like button and share the video because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.